embodiment of attractive beauty. Krishna. Varuna, the embodiment of bigness, encompassingness. So that's space. Now, imagine if you were the god of space. What are you imagining right now? I see in my psychic vision, reading all of your minds, which I do on a daily basis as an astrologer. I see a lot of spacesuits with like bubble hats. The god of space floating around with his bubble hat. God of space doesn't need a spacesuit. It's his domain. If you were the god of space, you would be everywhere. Because you are everywhere. So if you were the god of space, you would be, what do they call it? Omnipresent. You'd be in the pool right now. So you'd know what's going on in the pool. You'd be in this room, you'd be in the other room too. You know what's going on in both places. If you're omnipresent, you're also what? Omniscient. You can't be one without the other. And if you're omniscient and omnipresent, you're another thing, which a martial artist should know. Omnipowerful. What do they call it? Omnipotent. Omnipotent. My pranayama is all wrong right now. Got my mouth open, breathing hard, but this is fun. This is the first.
Don't say it's all wrong, because it's going to be more wrong.
No, it's okay. I'll just make a joke out of it. Because this is the first time I've ever even come to an astrology conference. So anyway, you'd be all powerful, right? Because you know what's going to happen, because you're everywhere. So you see it coming before it happens. So that's Varuna. He's the god of space. He's everywhere and he knows what's going to happen and he's all powerful. That's why he was the first king of the gods. Before Indra was Indra, he was Indra. Did you know that?
No.
I'm not surprised that you didn't know that. But not just because I'm making fun of you. But because actually very few people know that. Very few people know that. This story is suppressed by the media. It's really, actually, he represents people who get suppressed by the media. He represents people who don't get the spotlight, who should get the spotlight. Because they have the power, they have the talent. But they don't get the official hierarchical stamp of approval. That's what happens to him. So first, he's the king of the gods. He's very, very powerful. He was the judge. You see this? Look, see this? It proves he was the king. See this? You know what that is? You see Wonder Woman? You use that baby to catch bad guys. You need to be arrested. And then pull you in. That's what that's for. It's a lasso. Do you know who else has this? Eve? Yama. We'll find out why later. If I actually ever cover any ground. But you guys will make fun of me later, okay? I'll take more time than I should have. So he was the original king because he could judge everything. Another thing, if you're everywhere at once, then you see what happens from your perspective and from my perspective too. So, if you come to complain to me and you say, hey, Susie took my cookies. And then Susie comes and says, I didn't take her cookies. Those are my cookies. She took them from me. If you were Varuna, you would have seen the whole incident from both of their angles, because you're everywhere. You can see everything from every perspective. So you're perfectly impartial. You already see everything from both sides, all the sides, and more sides. So that's why he's the perfect judge. Because he's totally impartial. And he sees it all. So they had Varuna as the judge for all mortals. After death, every mortal would go before Varuna for judgment of the things that they had done during that lifetime. Sound familiar? That sounds like somebody else who also has this thing, right? And during their lives, the gods don't die very often. But when they did something questionable, guess who they would go to? Mr. Varuna. And Varuna would have to sort out the problem for them. So he was the most powerful, most respected god. He is called Asura. It's another bad word, isn't it? Asuras. Asuras are not these people. Those people come from Christianity. We don't have these guys. Maybe Rakshasas, right? But Rakshasas, they also have an agenda, which is very, very benevolent. They want to protect the forest and the lakes from us bad guys who pollute those things. So they're trying to scare us away. But Asura does not mean demon. Do you know what Sura means?
Not God.
The Sura, sun, close. The word Surya is also made from the word Sur. Sur means powerful. So what about Asura? Not powerful? Now this is the first Sanskrit lesson. And maybe the only Sanskrit lesson you'll need for the next 8 months. There's a difference between and a. Can you hear the difference? Is just one A. A is two. Asura is not an asura. He's an asura. There are no asuras, there's no such word. Asura, that's what we think of these guys, asura. Asura means not powerful, but super powerful. Very powerful. He's so powerful. He can solve any problem. He had asuras and suras living together in harmony, just like Strawberry Fields Forever and all the Beatles songs. Can you imagine if you got Trump supporters and all the rest of us together in one room, coexisting peacefully? What kind of powerful person could put those two people together?
More powerful than we've got.
He's very powerful. All right? So everything is good, everything is lovely, everything is lovely, lovely, lovely in heaven and on earth. Until my next slide. Dun, dun, dun. Vritra. Vritra, the original dragon. What's dragon in Sanskrit? Am I making this up? Am I just a big fan of Lord of the Rings? What's dragon in Sanskrit?
Naga?
Naga! I am not making it up. The Lord of the Rings took it from us.
Oh, yeah.
The Nagas. Actually, probably. Maybe more through Scandinavia, but maybe eventually from these tales. So he's the original Naga. Victor. What happened? All the other Nagas are his family. He's the granddaddy of them. What happened? He falls in love. Nagas are known for that. Nagas are the best lovers. If you really want to be born and really experience good sex, be born as a Naga. You cannot beat it. So, of course, the first thing that he does, the first major thing that he does, is fall in love. With who? Who does he fall in love with? Well, he falls in love with flowing water. Apas. Falls in love with flowing water. Oh, this is so beautiful. She's so beautiful. She sounds beautiful. She tastes beautiful. She smells refreshing. And she's strong. Flowing water. She's so strong. I love this woman. Hey, baby, what do you think about me? Right? Well, she looks at him. Actually, this is only what he looks like when he's angry. He usually looks like a nice guy. Yeah, I know you think, wait a minute. Good lover. That guy doesn't look like a good lover. That's what happens when they get angry. She looks at him, though, and she says, well, I'm not into you. And he's, well, what happens if you're Asura and somebody says no to you?
You want to take?
You'll take it. That's what his name means. Vritra means, I take it. And you watch some movies, you'll say, I don't wait for it to get anything, I just reach out and take it. I'm a powerful guy. I'm Asura. So when she said no, he said, what do you mean no? I'm taking you. So he's a dragon, he's got fire. So how can he take water? Anybody know? Hot spring? That's what probably would have happened if they would have got together. You can make her boil though, right? He can evaporate her. So that's what he did. He evaporated her. All of the fresh water on the face of the earth. He evaporated. Where does water go when it gets evaporated? Big cup. He goes into the clouds. So he put her up there though. Clouds, it falls out of the clouds, right? Put her way up there. In the stratosphere, those white, stringy, icy clouds. She can't get out. You can get out when you think I'm handsome. Right? So this is a huge problem because fresh water is everybody's friend. Everybody needs it for everything. As I can tell you right now. I'm probably going to need some more. So it's a big problem for the gods, and they're saying, why? What's going on here? Varuna is not doing anything about this. This drought is coming, and Varuna's just sitting around counting his fingers. So they're a little bit confused. The guy who can't take this the most, who do you think is the one god who cannot handle this situation the most?
Indra.
Indra! Who said it? 10 points. Indra. Actually, I'll give points, and whoever gets the most points gets a free book. Alright? So you have 10, and who said that? You got 10 so far. Alright, so the god of rain, cannot handle water being locked away. He's the most impatient. So he just says, well, Varuna's not going to do anything about this. That's alright. I'm going to go and take care of this situation myself. And he marches out. And he goes to attack Vritra. Varuna and Agni say, hold on a second. Do you know the relationship between Indra, by the way, and Varuna? They're bros. You're my bro. They're brothers. So Varuna and Agni stand in front of him and say, stop. She's Appas. You don't have to rescue her. She's not a little Disney princess. She's the goddess of flowing water. Nobody can hold flowing water. It makes the Grand Canyon. It makes this whole Sedona thing. All these beautiful rocks. Nobody can hold it. Put it in metal, the metal rusts. Nobody can hold this power back. Just be patient. Wait, don't start a war. If you go attack Vritra, all you're going to succeed in doing is starting a war. Wait for the situation to resolve itself. Indra says, humph. And he storms back home. As you can tell, I'm going to get struck by a lightning bolt after this. But that's alright, because I'm a Krishna Bhakta. So Krishna will pick up his table and I'll hide underneath it. So Indra storms home, boom, boom, boom. And he starts talking to the rest of the gods. I don't know, don't you think we should do something about this? We're going to have a drought. This is going to be really bad. He starts talking behind everybody's back. He gets everybody together. They all go to Varuna and Agni, and they convince Varuna and Agni to support their attack. So together, with Varuna and Agni, Indra goes out, whoosh, kills the demon with a thunderbolt. That's what you use to get water out of the clouds, right? Whoosh. Gets the water back out of the clouds. Clouds come back, the rain comes down, becomes the rivers, flows back to the oceans, everything's back to normal. Hooray! Hooray, Indra. So, what happens next? That's very, very interesting. But, before we talk about what happens next, oh man, I forgot to show you the picture. This is a picture of Appas, but you're going to see her next anyway. This picture of Varuna and Indra and Agni. Now, before we go there, let's talk about these two characters in a little tiny bit more detail before we pass on. Appas, her nakshatra, is Purvashada. So, she is that feminine power. That's the nature of Purvashada. It's powerful, you cannot stop it, but it's feminine power, which means it's not aggressive, extroverted power. It's power that works around. It's power that wins by its patience, by its determination. Women don't give up. Men might have a lot of power, but women last longer. in many ways. So they last for a long time. They don't give up. And that's what gets the job done. And then also, women are nourishing even in their strength. Their strength is nourishing. But people fight over women. Men fight over women. Wars get started over women. So this nakshatra is famous for starting wars too, like Helen of Troy. Right? But she's not trying to start it. She didn't try to start that war between the gods and the Nagas. But the war got started over her. The other thing about women, your power, as you know better than I do, but I'll just pretend I'm telling you, is that your power is in numbers. Your power is in togetherness. Man, we kind of have to do things on our own. You get help as a man, you feel a little bit, oh man, I got help. But as a woman, you immediately just go and you form your group. And you do something together. That's also important for Purvashat and understanding Apas. Everybody needs her. That's why she's so powerful. Like, there's probably no more important man here right now than you. Because everybody's relying on you for everything, right? Throughout this whole conference. So you're also like representing Apas. That's how she becomes powerful. Everybody needs her. Everybody needs fresh water. So, in case you have Purvashat, no, that's where your strength lies. In forming allies and having allies need you. Having people need you. That's what gives a woman strength. Now think about her allies. Her main allies. First of all, Varuna. If you want to get flowing water, the first thing you need is what? Water! So you need the ocean. The next thing you need is what?
Flow.
Huh?
Flow.
No, you can't. How do you get that flow? This guy. Who's this guy? Agni. You need heat. If you want flowing water, first you need water, then you need heat to evaporate the water. Then you need... So actually, first before I go there, think about this. Why did Varuna and Agni stop Indra's first attack? Because they're very sympathetic to Vritra. Vritra took the water up, and that's what they do, too. The ocean supplies the water to the clouds, and Agni supplies the water to the clouds. So they're sympathetic to what Vritra did initially. So initially they were on his side, supporting him. Then, if you want to get flowing water, though, you also need rain. This guy, Shriman Indraji. And he's the guy who uses a thunderbolt to get the water out. So that's why he wanted to get the water out. Any questions? You see, these myths are not myths. They're just real things told in an amazing way. They're real things that really happen, told from a perspective that normal people don't see. It's not like they're talking about some crazy thing. Dragons and goddesses. They're talking about real things. Evaporation of water, rain cycle, rivers. But they're talking about it on a mystic level, that they see it. That's what mythology is. That a seer sees things like. Now, let's talk about Agni. The name Agni literally means it goes first. Agama. Agama is Agni. It goes first. If you ever... It's pretty dark here in Sedona at night. If you don't have lights, or even if you got a guy with a flashlight, the guy with the flashlight walks first. You don't have the guy with the flashlight in the back. You carry fire first in the front. If you do a Vedic sacrifice ceremony, you light the fire first. No matter what the ceremony is. That's why Kritika is Mishra Nakshatra. Because it's in every single type of ceremony. He always comes first. That's why he's the first Nakshatra. Doesn't matter where the equinox point is, Kritika is the first Nakshatra. And Bharani must be last. So, what's the main property of fire? Heat. What does it do? What does fire do?
Purifies.
Consumes? Purifies?
Transforms.
Transforms? Good. What fire does is it takes something and sucks something out of it. Takes something out of it. Leaves the junk behind and liberates the thing that it took out. Like if you burn wood, what gets released from the wood is all that energy. The potential energy that's in the wood. The fire liberates the energy from the wood and then leaves some junk behind, ash, separates. That's why it's called kritika. Kritika means to separate things. Fire separates energy from its possessor. And there's 4 kinds of fire in Vedic thinking. First kind is your regular, ordinary, garden variety match. Earthly fire. This is the stuff that burns, paper and releases energy. Second kind of fire is called heavenly fire, celestial fire. It's of 2 kinds. One kind, what it does is it burns water. Now again, if you just hear that and don't think about it, you might think these people are crazy. There's no such thing as fire that burns water. But that's what the sun does when it evaporates the water. And that's what lightning does. Lightning burns the clouds, releases the water from the clouds. Fire releases the water from the ocean, separates the water from the ocean, and lightning, or the storm, separates the water from the cloud. That's what fire does, separates energy from its possessor. So look at this. Do you know what this is? This is what Indra used to kill Pitra. It's the hardest, most dangerous substance, a lightning bolt. Like if you play Minecraft or any kind of like Dungeons and Dragons game, you got a sword. The sword can be made out of wood. Or it can be made out of stone, it's a little better. It could be made out of steel. It could be made out of diamond. It could be made out of onyx with a magic spell on it. But the strongest sword you could possibly have would be made out of a lightning bolt. +5. Any Dungeons and Dragons players? That joke was totally wasted on those who have not played the game. +5. So that's interesting though, right? Agni initially Agni takes the side of Vritra and says, don't attack Vritra. Because initially he's this, evaporating the water. But later on he goes and supports Indra and helps him kill Vritra, because then he's acting as this, the lightning bolt. Varuna also does the same thing, because the ocean plays those 2 roles also. Initially the ocean gives the water to the clouds, but then later on the ocean takes the water back. So they switch sides. We're going to learn about I only told you about the first and second so far, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you about the third and fourth later, when we get to Vishaka, when we get to Indragni. Now, our best friend, the king of the gods, Indra. So now we get back to the main story. The main story. Who can tell me the story so far? What happened first? First there was Varuna, king of the gods. Then what happened second? Is it too hot in here?
Yes.